problem that's coming up. There. Let this practice be as internal as you can make it be. So if you want to close your eyes, if you don't feel like you need to look at the screen while you're doing your practice, try not to move your head in weird, funky ways. More listen to my voice and only look if you're like, wait, I don't know what we're doing. Now, I talked about this yesterday, and I'm going to talk about it again because I think it's really important. So I want to make sure as many people hear it as possible. So we did a lot of breath work yesterday, and we're going to do a very similar practice today. So when we're dealing, I was talking on Wednesday a lot about grief, and we are all grieving. We are all grieving. Every one of us has lost something, either an experience that we want to have. I feel Nell's here. I see her name, and her daughter is graduating from high school this year and not able to go through all the beautiful special things that happen at the end of high school time. And there's just so many people who are really losing a lot of their things, let alone losing their loved ones, which obviously is way bigger than losing the graduation. So it's heavy on us right now, and our breath can get really shallow and live in this little tiny upper chest box. And when that happens, I'm going to mute you all now just so we can hear that. How's that? Give me a thumbs up, somebody, if you cannot hear anybody but me. Audrey, I can see you. Thumbs up? Okay, good. All right, so when our breath gets really shallow, because of the way we kind of collapse in with fear or anxiety or grief, it can really impact the way we're breathing and therefore impact our well-being on every level. But I'm going to talk a little bit physically today, what kind of happens when we breathe through our mouth and we breathe shallow. Our diaphragm down here gets really lazy and doesn't work as hard when we're just breathing up here. So today we're going to do a lot of practices that stimulate our diaphragm and get our diaphragm to kind of kick into gear a little bit and wake up so that we can get used to breathing in that way. So when we hyperventilate, this is all hyperventilation. I brought out my notes from my training with the Buteyko breathing method, and here are some of the symptoms of hyperventilation. So it's not just that, that we are used to hearing about. So exhaustion, fatigue, heart palpitations, rapid pulse, shortness of breath, yawning, chest pain, dizziness, irritability, visual disturbances, numb, cold, or tingling extremities, a lump in the throat, stomach pain, muscle pain, cramps, stiffness, anxiety, insomnia, poor concentration, poor memory. So I don't know about you, but I have a few things on this list. And that's not to say that they are only from hyperventilation, but it can contribute to all of those symptoms. So it's a worthy goal to try to fix our breathing patterns. So when we breathe, when we slow down our breath, this helps us prevent that hyperventilation. And when we breathe through our nose, it will help as well. So a couple things that happen when we are hyperventilating in our body. Our carbon dioxide levels go down, okay? And this, we may think that's a good thing, more oxygen, less carbon dioxide, but really we have this very fine balance of the acid-base balance in our blood and in our lungs, and it really is such a narrow little window that our bodies do well in. And when our carbon dioxide levels drop, some of those symptoms that I just read can start to happen because we become more acidic in our bodies. And one of the big things that happen is the hemoglobin, which is the part of the red blood cells that carries oxygen to our tissues. When the blood's going around and it senses that carbon dioxide levels are low, the hemoglobin is very hesitant to give away the oxygen. So the hemoglobins get very sticky and they hang on to the oxygen molecules and won't let the oxygen release into the tissues, which is where we need our oxygen. The only reason we breathe is to bring oxygen to our tissues. So a low carbon dioxide level is not very good for us. And when we learn to use our diaphragm properly and breathe through our nose properly, we can sometimes experience a teeny bit of air hunger, feeling like you can't get your breath. And a lot of this can just be habit because we're very used to breathing through our mouth and very used to breathing in the top chest rapidly. So try through your practice today to expand your window of tolerance for a little bit of air hunger. And you are the only one who can determine what that sounds feels like. I don't want you to have extreme air hunger. So if you feel uncomfortable a little teeny bit, that's okay. If you feel uncomfortable more, not okay, and you need to revert back to some regular breathing that makes you feel safe and good. This is not the time to be extreme on any levels. Okay, we're just trying to care for ourselves. And then when we breathe through our nose, a lot of good things happen. Our sinuses, we get to move the air all through our sinuses. And in the sinuses, we create nitric oxide, which coats the mucous membranes all the way down into our bronchioles and our alveoli. And it sterilizes the air that we're breathing. So this is very protective for viruses. Let's try to do that right now. So increasing our nitric oxide level is a very good thing for our lung tissue. And the only way to get that is to breathe through your nose. If you breathe through your mouth, you bypass the whole system. No nitric oxide goes down into the lung fields. So it's very protective to breathe through the nose. It warms the air. It changes the pressure gradients in your lungs so your diaphragm works better. It's trap the mucus in your sinuses, trap the air, and trap pathogens. So all of this is really good stuff. So we're going to try to breathe deeply with our diaphragm, and we're going to try to breathe through our nose today. So there's two different breath techniques that I think would be good for everybody to do right now, every day, to train your diaphragm and to train your capacity to be able to tolerate this kind of breathing. And the first is pratyaloma breath, which is similar to Nadi Shoshana, which we're going to do at the end of our practice. So pratyaloma is just taking your thumb and your ring finger or your third finger, whatever's comfortable. Okay, so whatever you're going to do is fine. You don't want to press really low on your nostril. You want to be on the ridge of your nostril, high on your nostril. And we're going to do 2 nostrils at the same time. So just a little bit of pressure on your nostrils as you both inhale and exhale. And you get to dole out how much you want that pressure to be. So if you push really hard, you won't get enough air. So at the most, start pressing down around 50% closed, okay? So you can do way less than that if you feel uncomfortable in the sense of air hunger. So it might be a good idea to blow your nose. Some of the work we're doing today might need you to blow your nose, might need your passageways open. So good idea to drink a little bit and blow your nose before you begin. So let's start. As you inhale, see if you can stretch things out nice and slow. Feel your chest. Feel your diaphragm. See what you can do to relax all parts of you. So is your face relaxed? Is your skull relaxed? Are you tipping your head to the side where your arm is? Can you keep things neutral? Is your spine lifted? Do you have a sense of a slight lift through your heart and a drop through your chin? Just a little bit. You don't have to have a complete Jarandala Bandha. Just a little bit here. Breathing slowly in, breathing slowly out. And it's better to lessen your fingers than to just stop altogether. Okay, so just see where your level is at of being able to tolerate this. We're not going to do this today for the sake of time, but a really good way to do this is twice a day, 5 sets of 10 with a little break in between, few regular breaks in between each set, 5 sets of 10 breaths this way in the morning, in the evening. Okay, it's a really good training for the lung tissues, for the diaphragm, for your capacity to breathe well through your nose. All right, and let's go ahead and release our hand now. And enjoy a full deep breath. Enjoy the full capacity of your nose now. Start to surrender a little bit more. See what it feels like to drop into the deep, low diaphragm. Can you let your belly receive the breath? Notice if there's any restrictions to your breathing. Is there any way that your body could shift or loosen to make your breath more easily going deep? Broaden across your collarbones and slide the shoulder blades down the back. Okay, let's place our hands at our heart and bow in. Create an intention for your practice. What is it that you need? And see if you can have a little sidecar intention of staying with nose breathing as best as you can. through our practice. Let's release the hands and come to lie on your back. So as you lie down, notice what it feels like to breathe through your nose in a different plane. On our backs, you may notice that if you are a reverse breather where you tend to push your diaphragm up when you inhale, see what it feels like to be able to release your diaphragm out and down as you inhale. And releasing it back, coiling back in and up as you exhale. Let's bring a little movement into this. Arms up overhead, stretch through your spine. You can stretch the left side a little longer, the right side a little bit longer. Just come into the feeling of opening the sides of your body. Enjoy the subtlety of what this feels like. I don't have enough room when I'm sideways on my mat like this, but I'm doing the best I can. And then we're gonna bring our knees into our chest and rock around a little bit. Okay, so swaying from side to side, sense into the base of your spine, your sacrum, your pelvis. Enjoy the rocking. Let's take our knees apart from each other and then bring them back. So a little telescoping with your hips, just broadening out to the sides and rolling back in. And let this be a very natural curve. So you don't have to just go out in. Let your femur bones curve in the hip joints. We have this beautiful, round, smooth head of your femur bone. So let it be in a more circular motion. If at any time you struggle with breathing through your nose, try inhaling through your nose and exhaling through your mouth. And that might give you just enough of an edge to be able to maintain nose breathing. And if you can't, just revert back to what's comfortable for you. And of course, if you're congested right now and can't breathe through your nose, that's a whole nother story. So bring one knee into your chest and then the other, just giving a few squeezes, kind of going back and forth, keeping the spine long, rolling open your feet and your ankles, getting some movement there as you slowly move back and forth between the compression in one hip and extension in the other, and then switching. All right, take your feet wide on the mat so you can feel the outside edge of your mat on the floor. We're going to drop our knees to the left and at the same time lift the right arm up overhead and stretch through the side of you. Then inhale, come back up and change sides, lengthening through the side of your body, just going back and forth. See if you can get this to stretch not just through your shoulder, but that space between the ribs and the pelvis. Get a little opening through there as well. Okay, just back and forth. All right, and then bring your knees straight on the ground. Deep breath in, starfish your body out, and then exhale, chin up, knees into the chest. Do it a few times. Big breath in through your nose. Exhale. One more time. It's okay to have to breathe out through your nose. It's okay to have to breathe in through your mouth. You just do you, but as often as you can, try to bring those nose breaths in. It will help you. We breathe 15 to 20,000 times a day. So even if you sneak in a few thousand nose breaths, that's better than none. Circle your knees. Circle them the other way. Okay, and let's go ahead and roll over onto our side and come up onto our hands and our knees. All right, so as we start to move into some cat-cows, our hands are underneath our shoulders, our knees are under our hips, and just start moving through the spine. Waking some things up higher in your body now. Feel your head drop, your tail drop. See if you can ripple through your vertebrae one at a time, noticing the places that need a little care in your body today. How's your breath? Can you inhale through your nose as you arch your back? Can you exhale through your nose as you round your spine? Swirl around a little bit, so any kind of movement that you want to do. You can sway your hips from side to side or circle your pelvis around. You can move your shoulders, you can move your head, your neck. See what feels good. right, now we're going to come back towards child's pose. Stretch your arms overhead. Lengthen through the sides of your body. Inhale, walk the hands over to the left side of the mat, opening up through the ribs, feeling that sense of space, not just through the shoulder and the rib cage, but see if you can feel it, through the side waist as well, from the ribs to the pelvis. Open up that little gap in there. Drop weight into the pelvis, relax your head, and then switch sides when you're ready, inching over to the other side. Remember, trying to get into the side of our waist, not just our shoulder. See what it feels like to open the rib cage up, to feel those little windows, those little pockets broaden. See if you can touch the lungs. Move the lungs into the rib cage, and then move your lungs away from the rib cage. See if you can access a little bit of that control as you breathe in and out. And come back onto all fours. We're going to do a twist, so arm lifting to the sky. Exhale, slide that shoulder down, come into a twist on the floor. Open up the space behind the heart. Go ahead and rest the eyes. Gaze down toward the floor so you're sure to be soft. Femur bones coming back. All right, and inhale, lift that arm all the way up to the sky again. Place the hand down onto the ground. Let's change sides. Arm up. Slide that arm through, coming to a twist on this side. Open up the ribs. See what it feels like to stretch the back ribs away from the spine a little bit. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Inhale, reach that arm all the way up to the sky. Place the hand down. Now we get to come to dog pose. So 2 hands on the ground, 2 feet on the ground. Feel free to find your way here. If you want to pedal out your feet, you can drop a heel and bend the opposite knee. You can lift and sway your hips a little bit. Just see what feels good to your body. Deep breaths in, deep breaths away. Notice the diaphragm. See what it feels like to relax. Your exhales. Anytime our head is below our heart, or below our diaphragm, below our pelvis, when we invert, the diaphragm works differently with gravity. So notice how the recoil of your exhale might be easier, might be longer, might be more full. All right, and then let's go ahead and walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees a lot. Lay your torso down. So just drape your torso onto your thighs. And notice the rise and fall of your body away from your legs as you inhale. And folding back toward your legs as you exhale. Make sure your neck is soft and free. Inhale for a halfway lift. You can hold your thighs or shins. You can put your hands on blocks, whatever feels good. And then exhale and melt back down. Let's do that one more time. Big breath in, heart forward. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet, rise up, arms coming to the sky. Extend open, lean back a little bit if you want. Cactus, open your arms. Feel a sense of broadness across your chest. And then relax and bring your forearms to touch. Tuck your chin toward your chest. One more time. Inhale like a standing cat-cow. Exhale and round in. Reach your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, bend your knees and float forward. Soft bend in the knees. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt back down. Let's step back to a plank. Okay, so hands on the ground, full body pose. Now you might start noticing that your breath is a little harder to breathe through your nose as we build some strength into the body. So just see what you can do to hang out here and still be breathing through your nose. Let your exhales be where your core strength lives. When you inhale, relax a little bit through your belly so that your organs can still move, letting your diaphragm displace the organs. And then recreate that core strength on your exhales. Let's go ahead and put our knees down. Come down to the floor in whatever way is safe for your body. We're going to take our hands wide on the floor. Inhale and lift up into a very wide cobra pose. Hands are out in front of you and wider than your shoulders. Stretch into your legs. Open up your belly. Feel the diaphragm stretch a little bit. And then exhale and release back down. Wobble your hips left and right just a little bit here. And then we're going to come up onto all fours. One more round of the cat-cow. Arching the back, rounding the spine. Turn that into a dog pose. Extend upward. Lift your femur bones up into the pelvis and take your thigh bones back. Spread out the bones of your hands and your feet. Feel where you touch the earth. Give yourself over to the earth and feel that rebound as you kind of feel like you could push off the ground. Extending through your side ribs. See if you can get that gap between your ribs and your pelvis to broaden just a little bit more. Full deep breaths in and out through your nose. Relax your eyes. Inhale and lift your right leg up in the air. Find your breath, square your hips. We're going to stack our hip over our other, so we're bending your knee or straightening your leg in the air. Just open up into that side body again. See if you can feel the space between the ribs and the pelvis. Open. All right, so square your hips, right leg lifting straight back again. Exhale, knee to nose. All your breath out. Squeeze all your breath out. Inhale, bring that back. Let's repeat that one more time. Knee to nose. All your air out. Inhale, bring it back. Now we get to place our foot forward. Come into a lunge. Extend the spine. Adjust your legs so that you have a good place. This is a good time to get blocks. If you happen to have some blocks, you can have them nearby. Let's open up their hamstrings like we usually do. Square the hips, relax your chin down, find your breath. Being that, we're not working super hard in this posture just yet, your breath requirements may be a little less, especially if your hands are on something. So take advantage of that to feel the movement of your breath. Squaring the hips, dropping the chin as your leg gets straight-ish, bending the knee, chest forward. And let's end up in a lunge. Find your breath, reaching your arms wherever is comfortable for you. So if you are really paying attention to letting your breath be your guiding force and not letting the breath follow, but letting the breath lead, a good way to back things off is to keep your arms out of the equation. So bringing your arms up over your head is awesome, but it also will stimulate your need for deeper breathing. So if you're already struggling, keep the hands down. Whatever you're doing, you can even put your knee down on the ground. Whatever you're doing, make sure that your breath is your leader. Back away into your practice as much as you need to keep the breath as the leader. Okay, find your breath again. Exhale, bring your hands down to the floor. Back foot forward. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale, bend your knees. Soften the exhale, long exhales. Step your right foot back. Come into a lunge on this side. Heart is forward. Let's start moving. Straightening the legs, dropping the chin. Stay rooted through the big toe mound as you square the hips and start to straighten the leg. This leg does not have to go straight. It can be softly straightening, just moving to your range of motion. Let your spine be involved in the picture. So open the chest as you bend your knee and round the spine just a little bit. Chin toward your chest as you straighten your knee. And then the next time you get to a lunge, you decide, do you want your knee down? Do you want your hands to stay down? Do you want your hands on your thigh, hands at your heart, hands at your hips, hands up in the air? So choose what's giving you the best capacity for full, deep diaphragmatic breathing through your nose. Remember, the exhales are where you can find strength. Okay, so if you feel like you need some core strength, pay attention to that as you breathe out. This is a natural place for our core muscles to work with our breath instead of against our breath. All right, and then we're going to exhale and bring your hands down to the floor. Lift that left leg straight back up in the air. Hips are square, so three-legged dog pose. And we're going to stack our hip, lengthening. You can either bend your knee or keep your leg straight in the air, whatever feels good. Try not to collapse the right shoulder down toward the floor too much.
How's your breath here? Breathe into the belly. Keep moving your right femur bone back. And then when you're ready, square the hips, stretch that leg, take a deep breath in, exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, bring it back. Exhale, knee to nose. Inhale, let's bring it back. Place your foot down onto the ground, come onto your knees. Fold back, arms down at your sides. Inhale, rise up onto your shins, lean back a little bit. Exhale, fold forward. Pause here for just a moment. And then as you're ready, spread out your hands and your feet and come back to dog pose. Again, big breaths in, big breaths out. All right, we're going to come onto our knees for a moment. Okay. I'm going to do gate pose. So you're going to take your right leg on the mat. Your left leg is forward. If you don't like that with your ankle, you can always put a block or something, or you can put it against your couch. Your heel up if your foot doesn't come down well. Try not to stick your hip out when we do this. Keep stable. So the shin is pushing into the floor. Lift up through your spine. Extend through your side body. Open up. This hand on your leg is very light. Not leaning down. Think more of extending up than going anywhere else. Press the shin into the floor. Open your breath. Okay. And then release. Go ahead and change sides. Do the same pose on the other side. Shin is moving into the floor. Lift up through your spine. Descend the tailbone and lift the pubic bone so you're not tipping the pelvis back. Reach the arm up in the air. Take a deep breath and extend over to the side. Feel that you're opening up the whole channel of the side of your body, from your knee to your hand in the air. How is your breath here? Do you need to do something different? Do you need to put your arm somewhere else for the breath to be more full and complete? Great, and then release. Come out of there. Let's come back to dog pose. Stretch through your spine. Take a deep breath in. Come forward into a plank. Hang out here. Find your breath here. Inhaling. Exhaling. All right, we're going to put our knees down onto the ground. Come all the way down to the floor, however your body likes. Now, this is a little, you might need to look at me for a second. This is, some of you have done this, some of you may not have. We're going to come onto our side, and we're going to bend our knees, okay? And we're going to have this hand that's up in the air over so that we're touching our finger pads to the top of our skull. We're going to look at me for just a second so you know what to do here. We're going to lift our feet and our head, our chest. We're not going to lift our knees up. I don't know if you can see my knees. I should wear different clothing than black sometimes. But so your feet are going to come up and your chest is going to come up. And then you're going to come down. Okay, so I'm hoping you can figure that one out. Feet up, chest up, head up. Exhale to come down. And decide, do you want to inhale when you come up? Do you want to exhale when you come up? What feels natural to you? Try both. This will isolate your obliques and your deep low back muscle, your quadratus lumborum. It's a very functional area of strength that you can work with the diaphragm for full exhales. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and come on over. Here, I'll just flip over because maybe seeing the back of me will make it more obvious too. So our knees are going to bend. Our hand is going to be on top of our head. Your other hand can just be resting wherever you want. You can hold your head or not. Okay, we're going to inhale, lift just your feet, knees stay down on the ground, chest lifts up to the side. Try not to yank on your neck. Be very light with your fingers on your head. This is just a placement so that your shoulder stays neutral. Make sure you're breathing. If your neck bothers you, keep your head down. Or hold your head like this, where you have a little bit more stability. It doesn't have to be a huge movement in order for it to be effective, right in through here. A couple more. I have no idea how many we did on the other side, so just do a couple more here. And then when you're ready, let's come back to child's pose. Bring your knees together or apart. Find the space. Deep breath in, deep breath away. All right, we're gonna come forward. So instead of child's pose with our hips back, walk your hands forward so that your pelvis is over your knees and drop your rib cage down toward the floor. Feel your spine drop. Feel a sense of lift under your armpits. So there's a little counter current to the posture so you're not completely collapsing. Maybe your head makes it to the floor, maybe it doesn't. Okay, open up the thoracic spine. Deep breath in. Deep breath away. And then slide the forearms forward on, or backward toward your knees. Come into dolphin pose. So wrists, elbows, and shoulders lined up. If your shoulders don't like this, choose a different pathway. Maybe dog pose, maybe just resting in child's pose. Lift the femur bones up and back. Lift the shoulders away from the floor. Feel the rib cage extend upward. Can you find that gap between the ribs and the pelvis and broaden it? How is your face? Are you relaxed? Are you able to breathe here? Okay, and then we're going to take this into a forward plank. So walk your feet back. We're going to have, and once again, you can choose a different pathway. If your breath can't handle being here, you can put your knees down. You can come into a regular plank, whatever feels good. Find your breathing. It's the most important thing you're doing is your breathing. So it's hard to breathe in a posture like this. It's hard to inhale. One more time, lifting your hips, coming into dolphin pose. Make a change if you need it. Come down and rest if your breath or body needs it. And then everybody come down onto your knees. Arms down at your sides, child's pose. Rest for a moment. Deep breath in. Deep breath away. All right, let's go ahead and come on up to stand. Interlace your hands behind your back. So we're going to hug the shoulder blades toward each other pretty strongly. Bend your elbows. Try not to lock them out. So just a little bend in your elbows and come forward. Bend your knees. So you may have your hands staying just an inch off your spine. You may have your arms going way away from your spine. So just find the place that's comfortable for your body. Dangle your head. Relax a little bit. Now come deep bend, like you're about to go into chair pose. Keep your arms behind you. Start to come up towards chair pose. Your heels are close, your toes are close. Lift your chest. Keep staying with your hands behind you. Open what you can. Find your breath here. Draw your knees back into your hips. Weight is deep in the heels. If your breath can't lead you, change something. Keep your arms. Inhale, come up onto your tippy toes. Hug the shoulder blades toward each other. See if you can do this without pushing the whole rib cage forward. And then release the hands, or the heels and the hands. Inhale, reach the arms up to the sky. Grab onto your wrist with your hand. Over to the side you go. Come back up, change sides. Okay, inhale, take a deep breath in. Exhale, and fold forward. Halfway lift, spine gets long. Exhale and melts back down. And let's come to the side edge of your mat for some standing poses. Take your right foot out, your left heel back. Okay. Find your breath. If you have a block, you can use a block. Once again, in Virabhadrasana 2, let's move here a little bit. So inhale to arms up. Exhale out. If this is no good for your shoulders, try this one. Inhale, hands to your heart. Exhale, arms out. Still no good for your shoulders. You get to have your hands here, okay, or just keep them here. But just find the movement of your hips. Give yourself some time to open yourself up for this posture. And then once you're there, let's steady on. Okay, spread out the bones of your feet. Feel the work of lifting your spine out of your pelvis. Use your exhales to help you find some core strength. Can you still breathe through your nose? Maybe doing something different with your arms, like having them here or on your hips, can be more soothing for your breath than having them out to the sides. So decide what's making you feel best in your body. Deep breaths here. And then we're going to straighten the leg, lift the arm, open your rib cage up, come back down, Parsvottanasana, arm over your head. Root into your feet, spread out the bones of your feet, make sure you're even weighted through both your feet. Adjust anything you need to adjust. Can your knee land over your ankle or a little before your ankle? Don't go past. Feel the chest broaden. Can you widen that gap from the ribs to the pelvis here? Can you do it on both sides, even though the underbelly is a little bit harder? Drop the shoulder blades down the back. Is your breath still working for you? If not, change something. Come out of the pose a little bit. All right, and then let's go ahead and lift back up, okay? Come into a starfish, take a deep breath. Then we're just going to turn and do the same actions on the other side. So when we come into this, let's start with some movement, especially if you have a hip that, just gets a little wonky and doesn't open very well. Sometimes just taking some movement first can be all you need. So you can swim your arms out and bring them back. You can lift your arms up and bring them down. You can keep your hands in one place. Just find your posture. And then as you're ready to stay, let's find the legs, root through your body. See if you can get both legs to feel weighted. The pelvis is stable. You can turn the pelvis a little bit toward your left knee if you want. Okay. Find your exhales. Anything you want with your arms. There's so many choices to be had. What is giving you your breath the best? Spread out the bones of your feet. Keep working the muscles of the outer hips. Engage your core on your exhale. See if you can climb out of your pelvis a little bit. Lift the crown, drop the shoulders. Long, steady breaths through the nose. Feel your diaphragm. All right, now let's go ahead and straighten the leg for a moment. Give yourself a little break. Reach that arm up to the sky. Find a side stretch. And then exhale and bend your knees. So remember, you can be further back from your ankle. You can be on top of the ankle, wherever your body goes, okay? Do you want to have the arm stretched? Do you want to have the hand on your hip? Can you move your shoulders away from the ears and lengthen the sides of your body? Find that gap between the ribs and the pelvis and open things up. Deep breaths here. Find the work of the pose. Stay with your breathing. Stay long in your spine. All right, now let's go ahead and come on out. Heel toe your feet in. Okay, just rock around a little bit. You can kind of bend your knees. And then we're going to come out again. We're going to do this very, very carefully. Okay, so I don't want you to go too far. And this is really important. The feet are going to turn forward. If you feel a little more comfortable with your feet turned out, that's okay too. We're going to interlace our hands behind our head like, old school, high school sit-ups, okay? But broaden your elbows out to the sides. So you don't want your elbows forward, you want your elbows in line with the rest of your body, okay? And we're going to tip over to one side. So I don't want you going really deep. I want you to just stay in a plane that's very nourishing for your breath and for your back. Okay, so try not to go too far over. And you can also change your hands. If you'd rather have your hands on your hips, this is a plan B. Okay, so whatever's working, keep your chest lifted. Keep your elbows broad. Feel your exhales on the way down. Inhale on the way up. All right, and then come back. Go ahead and release your hands down. Maybe dog pose, arms feel good. Maybe you don't feel good with your arms out in front of you and you want them down. If you ever get a cramp in your hip, turn your toes in. Sometimes that can help. Finding your breath, your breathing once again. Relax the head. Okay, let's walk our feet back to the back of the mat, hands to the front of the mat, dog pose. Internally, everybody take your feet a little wider than you sometimes do. Turn your feet in, so even wider than hips. Turn your toes in a little bit, so you're just a little pigeon-toed. And inner spiral your thighs, widen the sit bones. Take advantage of all the room for your breath. All right, and then we're going to come forward. Put your feet wherever you want. You can still do a plank with your feet wide. That's a fun way to do a plank. Okay, move the shoulders away from the ears, finding your breathing. Long, steady inhales, even longer, full, complete exhales with some core strength there. Shoulder blades away from the ears. Okay, and then we're going to put our knees down. If you need to, I need to, and come down onto the floor. Okay. You get a choice in this back bend that we're going to do. You can have your arms down at your sides, or you can have your arms up over your head. Okay. We're going to lift everything up. Take your legs wide, wider than the mat even. See if you can notice evenness through your glutes so that you're lifting your legs in balance. Same with your shoulders. Push into your diaphragm. This is a great diaphragm push-up, so move from your diaphragm. All right, and then relax. Shake your hips left and right. You can put your forehead on your hands or turn your head to the side, whichever feels best. Deep breaths here. Exhale away. Okay, we're going to repeat this, but you get another choice to add to the mix. You can do the same thing, this or this. You can also do locust pose. So you can interlace your fingers behind your back. If you want, hug the shoulder blades toward each other and lift everything up. All right, so there's work to be had here. See if you can feel the muscles in your lumbar spine be supported by your glutes, your hamstrings, your shoulders, all the muscles along your spine. Try not to isolate one muscle group. Feel the fullness of the posture. Use your breath. The diaphragm is moving you. All right, and then relax. Turn your head the other way. If it was turned, you can pick up your feet and rock left and right. So I've been focusing a lot this week on these active back bends because there's a lot of muscles in the back of your body that you need for good breathing, not just the diaphragm. There's many muscles, and we kind of forget about our back body sometimes. Okay, just come onto the floor. Turn your head to one side or the other. Put your arms wherever you want them, where you're comfortable. Down at your side, out, anywhere. And feel your breath. Feel the feedback of the floor. Feel everywhere your breath is moving your body. Notice the back of the ribs, the sides, the side waist, the sacrum, the belly, even the arms. So much moves when we breathe. So let's enjoy and start getting used to feeling our full body breath instead of just our little square box in our upper chest. So now try that. So everybody turn your head the other way and take a really shallow mouth breath through just that little box in your chest where we typically breathe. And notice everything else that has become absent, quiet. Now fill your breath fully again. Breathe through your nose, travel it down your spine, feel the feedback of the floor, the shape of your pelvis change, the shape of your spine change, the shape of your belly change, the shape of your ribs change. Realize how much our whole body conspires for us to breathe well. It's like a symphony. Everything's working together to try to receive. Okay? So give yourself the opportunity to maximize your breathing as often as you can. Let's come back up onto all fours and do some circles with your pelvis. Let's just start to release the spine a little bit. You can sway from side to side. You can do some cat-cows, anything in your spine that feels really nice. Okay. Let's come into a lunge. We're going to take our right foot forward and our left foot back. Put your knee on the floor if you need to. Chest is broad. We're just getting into the hip flexors of your back leg, the glutes and the hip in your front leg. Find your breath here. Okay. All right, now we're going to join. Take your other foot with you. Put your elbows on top of your knees for a moment. Drop your hips. Just go wherever you want to go. So you don't have to keep them high. Take your spine long. Reach your heart forward. Okay, and then lift your hips and take your left foot back. I'm sorry, your right foot back. Left foot is forward. Come to the inside edge of your knee with your arm. Your back knee can come onto the floor. Extending the spine here. Moving into the hip, feeling the reach of the back leg. Deep breaths. Lift that knee up off the ground just for a moment. Now we're going to turn to the side edge of our mat. Feet are wide. Relax the spine down so you can bring your arms out forward like dog pose arms. You can have your hands on the floor or on blocks. You can put your hands on your legs. You can put your hands on your hips, wherever feels good in your body. We're going to do a very simple twist here. So right hand's going to come into the center line. Left hand's going to come on the hip and turn. Notice if one hip drops way low, see if you can keep the hips balanced. So if you're turning to the left, lift your right femur bone up and back. And then exhale and release. Left hand on the floor, right hand on your hip. Lift your left femur bone up and back, extending through the spine. And then release to come out. Come onto the floor. Okay. We're going to come back to a twist like we did in the beginning. Feet are wide on the floor. Okay. Arms are out to the sides, and we're going to stretch into a twist as you move knees left, right arm up overhead. As you move knees right, left arm up overhead. Okay. Bring your pelvis on your spine onto the floor. Take a neutral breath here. We're going to pick up the hips and move them to the right. Bring your knees higher toward your chest now instead of low. Bring them high. We're going to drop the knees over to the side. Take a deep breath here. Let the wringing out happen. So this is good for your diaphragm, the obliques and the diaphragm. You know, they have a relationship that is in opposition and a relationship that is synergistic. So notice, you know, the obliques help the exhale leave the body along with your deeper abdominal muscle, your transverse abdominis. They help the diaphragm. They work in concert with the diaphragm. But as we twist, sometimes the action of the obliques moves in opposition to the diaphragm. And this can be good. This can be, you know, kind of like wringing out a sponge, squeezing. And then inhale and lift the knees up. Okay. Neutral spine again. Let's scoot the hips to the left. Knees come up toward the chest. Drop them right. Open the chest. Are we still breathing through the nose as best as we can? Long, steady inhales, even longer exhales. Can you feel your diaphragm? Can you feel your ribs? Just notice where the breath is moving in your body. All right, and then bring your knees back up. You get a choice now of how you want to stretch. Well, first let's stretch your hamstrings just one more time. If you have a strap, take a strap on both legs. If you don't have a strap, you can just hold on behind your legs. I really recommend finding something in your house to have with your yoga stuff that can be a strap, like a scarf or a belt or something. All right, so feel the extension of your spine. Root the femur bones back away from your shoulders and drop the heads of the femur bones down into the hips. All right, and then as you're ready, you can let go of that, and you get to choose either reverse pigeon pose, or thighs crossing over thighs and drawing the knees to the chest. So all of them will stretch your hips. You get to decide which variation is your favorite. So thigh over thigh, holding your knees or holding your feet and bringing them in. Reverse pigeon pose, your right foot is over your left knee and reaching back to grab your thigh or your shin. And pigeon pose, your right leg is forward and your left leg is back. Okay, so choose what's working well for your body. And not, our two sides are very different, so we can have a different need on one side than the other. We can have a different need day by day. Some days my body likes pigeon pose. Some days my body doesn't like pigeon pose. So just see, what it is your need for today, right here. Deep breath in through the nose, out through the nose if you can. And, I'm curious of how many times when I've reminded you to breathe through your nose, if you had kind of fallen back into mouth breathing. It's so common, right? We all do it. So let's go ahead and change sides. So maybe this side needs something different than the other side did. So choose one of those three poses and find your way. So it's really, breath patterns that we have developed since childhood are really difficult to change. And, generally speaking, I would say that the most important thing from a pranayama perspective, the breath work of yoga, is to just try to unravel your breathing patterns first. If you start layering on a whole lot of pranayama on top of a poor breathing pattern, you can just get into a little trouble of getting confused. So ultimately,
She's
Jenny.
She's
We
back.
lost Jenny. She's back?
Yeah, I saw her come back on. There she is.
I'm here.
Oh,
I don't know.
okay.
I'm here again. Okay. So I don't know what happened, but I'm back. Zoom lost me for a minute, so I had to just reconnect. Okay, so bring your knees into your chest and let's go ahead